Recording in progress.
All right, we'll get started here. I'd like to welcome you to our June 24th, 2026, July? What? Oh, July 24th. No, wait.
No,
July 8th.
8th.
It's just a carryover. Just cross out. Yeah.
Strike that, reverse it. All right, welcome to our July 8th Sister City Council workshop. First up on our agenda is our Firewise, Waterwise demonstration landscape project at City Hall, and Jackson Dumanche will walk us through it. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. We have the long-awaited design plans for the City Hall, Firewise, and Waterwise landscaping project. Just here tonight to let you folks review it, provide us with some comments so that we can continue moving forward with this one. As you all know, the landscaping currently at City Hall is green turf grass. It looks brilliant and green and lush, but uses a lot of water. And practicing what we preach, turning this into also a Firewise demonstration so that folks can see how Firewise and Waterwise can still be a visually appealing and pleasant landscape solution. Early 2025, we began working with Greenworks landscape architects to come up with this design. Hit a few speed bumps along the way. We tried working with the Deschutes County Library. They didn't have much of an interest in modifying their landscape, so we just started focusing on just the city's property. As you know, it's broken down into 3 zones. That 0 to 5 feet, that first zone, nothing flammable, just crushed rock. Zone 2, intermediate, you get a little bit more flexibility there. Deciduous trees, no coniferous trees, so that's pine, fir, shrubs, low grasses, and rock mulch ground cover. Again, just kind of reducing flammable fuels and just keeping it really well maintained. And then that Zone 3, which you get on the outer reaches to the north of City Hall, that is 30 to 100 feet. That can be taller grasses. Again, staying well maintained, but doesn't necessarily need to have that crushed rock ground cover. That could be a mulch or a soil. All the plants that were selected, they are all drought tolerant and fire resistant species, and quite a few are pollinator friendly. And we also consulted the prohibited plant list just to make sure we are in compliance with our own code. You will note there are some simulated dry creek beds. They aren't functional. They do lead to our downspouts for visual appeal, and again, to kind of help educate folks on how this can work with their properties. And then there will be ADA accessible crushed rock path. So that's that 1/4 inch or less rock. You will see that at some other parks in the region, such as Ben Parks and Rec Parks. They connect to our emergency fire exit in the rear of the building, and then leading to that concrete pad that's right on Main Avenue. So connecting into existing pedestrian facilities, allowing folks to explore the different zones, get a closer look at the plants, and see how they can incorporate it into their own landscaping. This will also have some potential to work with our signage going forward. So incorporating those designs into showing folks what species are what the different zones are. Original cost estimates were very high for this project, so we did quite a good amount of value engineering, getting that into our budgeted amount of $70,000. To help with that, we are going to do a fair amount of that work in-house. So site demo, some grading. We have an abundance of boulders to use, and also irrigation installation. We're going to preserve the existing irrigation system, just remove the spray heads and retrofit them with drip irrigation. So it'll all be subsurface and use a fraction amount of water. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Jackson. Do we have any exits on that side of the building?
On the west side of the building,
Yes.
fire exits, I don't believe so, no.
Windows. That's it.
On the, I have a couple questions. On the ADA friendly paths, how wide are they going to be? Is there kind of a standard? It's hard to tell from the diagram.
I don't believe we've settled on a width
Okay.
for that. That would come later with the final bits of the plan.
Okay. I mean, there might be an opportunity to piggyback or at least glean some information on some people working on that STA project. Just to make sure that we're not doing something in the beginning that could be easily fixed.
I know, sorry, all right, for our sidewalks, the minimum width is 4 feet. We like to stick to 6 feet. And when we expect a fair amount of traffic, we try to increase that, like with our multi-use paths, to 8 or 10 feet.
Okay. And then I had a few comments about some of the landscaping. There are a few places, and I can also provide this offline too, but there are a few species kind of listed in the list that aren't in the OSU handbook. Things like manzanita and rabbit brush, which have a tendency to be flammable. And I think there's, in some respects, if this wasn't a demonstration garden, I would feel a little more lenient about being, a little more lenient on what was being allowed. Though, being that it's a demonstration garden, I'm wondering if we really should stick to a standard like the OSU fire-resistant plant guide, which is not definitive, and they don't have grasses in there for one thing, right? So like Idaho fescue is, one of those things that's regularly accepted as a grass, but that book really doesn't have a grass section. So I know it's not perfect, but I would personally want to lean more towards something a little more rigid, just because it is a demonstration garden. I don't know how others feel about that.
Do you know which zones those are being used in? Are they in the 5 to 30?
I think they are in the 30 and beyond, which again is okay, right? I mean, by our standards. I just feel like being I just kind of struggle a little bit with, even having stuff like that that's not at least in the OSU list. So just throwing that out there, just because of it's a demonstration garden. And then there was just being careful on clustering. The guidance, from IBHS is usually, you want your clusters of vegetation to be more than 10 feet wide and kind of have spacing 2 times the height of the tallest plant from those clusters. And just keeping in mind that 2 things. One is that things grow. And so in the beginning, obviously things are small, and in Central Oregon, they don't grow fast. But there were like a couple of bushes, for instance, that were right up against the 5-foot zone, which I think they're spirea, right, which will grow pretty wide when it gets mature and will be encroaching on that 5-foot area. So just being cognizant of maybe pushing that back so it's not at maturity encroaching that. And then the other thing is that from professional experience, that to be mindful that a landscape designer can put together a list of the plants and the design, which is great. This looks wonderful, and then it's handed to a contractor to buy the plants and do the planting. And what we've found professionally is that then the contractor goes to the nursery and they're like, well, we don't have that, but we have this. Oh, okay. And they just they grab something that might not be a great fit, or there starts to be some level of creativity, and that's and we found that in the industry and fire mitigation. There is a struggle of getting landscapers, designers and installers kind of on the page of working together and making sure that the vision is kept all the way through. So I'm just kind of throwing that out there to keep in mind. And if that's something that we want to task the landscape designer with, if that's something that we, as a city, just want to be on top of and making sure that we're really on top of that and being very specific with whatever installer we hire is really, the intent is to stay as close to this plant list as possible. And if there's any changes, they need to be cleared through staff. So sharing some experience from the real world on how some good intentions kind of get skewed in the process. So
Yeah. Prior to the
all right, that's all I had to share.
Those are great. I mean, I think we kind of thought about that with the demonstration. Are you demonstrating, the plants that are prohibited, per our defensible space code, the first, 30 feet, or are you demonstrating what could be done on bigger lots too, right? That, beyond that 30 feet, the trees, or you can have an expanded. Manzanita, higher elevations and stuff like that, or plants that people would recognize. But you're right. Like, are we confusing people by, this plant is not allowed within 30 feet of the building, but it's allowed out here, as a.
You're walking down the sidewalk and you're like, oh, well, they have a manzanita, so realizing that's 30 feet away. So, yeah, I like to err on the side of being safe, but I certainly understand the intent for sure. That's something to think about.
I think the signage too is an opportunity to maybe even educate people about these things, right? Of even the points you make, I think are great, of being mindful of how you have to maintain, bushes that may grow, right? If we're allowing clusters, right? Well, those clusters can expand and grow and even encroach into that 5-foot section too. Yeah. So that's something for us, I think when we finalize these plans, to be mindful. Our crews have to ultimately maintain these.
Yeah.
Right, too.
And I have a lot more faith in our crews doing that. It's when you're dealing with private homeowners or something like that, that's the world where, you just don't have the, I don't want to say faith, but just the opportunity for that to get forgotten and things grow and then they're not maintained is easier. Where here, there's very frequent attention to our landscaping in our city. So
I did want to just say, just to pass along, that the Public Works Board I know when we were talking about the roundabout specifically, we were talking about the different zones and that there were going to be some plants in the 30 plus feet zone that were not, an approved plant. And they were okay with it, especially because there are people on the Public Works Board who are definitely into pollination and into native plants and other things. So just passing that along from them.
Thank you. I have a quick question about manzanita itself. Isn't it fairly invasive and it likes to take over? I mean, out in the forest, there's a lot of it, right? So
kind of I think it's a succession species, especially after fire and stuff. But it is pretty flammable until it starts getting, I think, shaded out and by other trees. That and ceanothus. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that based on my own personal experience with the work we just have been doing at the house on our defensible space work, and having the landscape company that was doing some of the work say, oh, we could put this in this area outside of the gravel. And I was like, no. That's not why. So I think there's a great degree of education yet to be done within the landscaping community, because they're looking at plants that they've had great success with in this area and that are going to come in and fill in quick and look nice and be easy to maintain. And that's all good. But some of those are exactly the ones that we don't want to have, and why we actually have, like in my case, took all the vegetation out back 5 to 7 feet around the house for our defensible space. So I'm a little uncomfortable with manzanita for that reason. Rabbit brush is I'm not a fan of rabbit brush anyway, so it's like, I've got some at my house and we've been taking it out as fast as we can. It just, once it gets older, it doesn't look as good as it does when it's younger if you're not pruning it back. But that's, I hear what you're saying. I know, do we worry about the 30-foot space or not? I don't know on that one. But I will say that part of what I think we need to do when this is done is to have a list of the plants that are in there somewhere in one of those little boxes you can pick up and take something out. Maybe even a guide as to where they are so you can see them, so that people can go home. Because I was looking at some of the pictures that were in there and think, oh, yeah, okay, kinnikinnick. I'm going to use some kinnikinnick in this space instead. And so it's helpful that way. But like I said, I think our landscape companies in town have ways to go to get up to speed on some of the things that we don't want to see up next to houses. And I'm not finding fault. It's just the nature of what they're comfortable with and what they've been working with for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Agree.
Jackson, the $70,000 that was budgeted, what was that to cover?
Construction.
So, minus the signage that we hope to have eventually?
That doesn't include signage, that's just the landscaping.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I think we kind of see this as there's a potential for future phases, right? So, we've spent, I don't remember now how much on the design, and then, we rebudgeted for the construction for this fiscal year. But there might be other things that pop up, right? We've talked about art, like, having the Public Art Advisory Board take a look at this site in particular and where we can put sculptures. And then we may, want to screen the generator, for example, right? As long as it's fire resistant and everything, as other attempts to beautify the site. The vision here is as a demonstration for Firewise, but also Waterwise. But it's also an opportunity to kind of enhance that space for as a community neighborhood park, right? Like relaxation, you're at the library, read a book, learn more about, what plants and species and how far from the building and things like that. So, we're trying to strike that balance of not over-designing something and creating this, really expensive project, but having the opportunity for people when they're talking to their landscaper or, oh, go check out City Hall, do what they did, like the rock they used and the plants, I think some people are visual learners that way and can just pop in and pull up and look at it and, try to replicate that at home to have a safer landscape. Right.
Yeah, I think future phases, getting that educational component is going to be critical.
All right, any other questions or comments?
Otherwise, well done.
Yeah. Looks lovely.
Take out Manzanita. We got.
I mean, I love Manzanita, but not too close to buildings.
Were there any concerns with any other species, or was Manzanita the primary one?
The rabbit brush, sage, and the poppy are not on the list, are not on the OSU list. So maybe do some extra vetting, but I mean, sage, if the desert sage here, I'm not 100% sure if that's, our native sagebrush or if that's a different kind of sage. Our native sagebrush is pretty flammable.
No, that is a decorative
Okay.
sage, similar to your culinary sage.
Okay.
But I think the Public Works Advisory Board was very adamant on maintaining rabbit brush due to its prominence and importance as a pollinator species in Central Oregon.
Okay.
Quite adamant, but
And that's
willing to take a look at it,
Okay.
maybe reduce its quantity.
yeah. It does grow pretty fast and sprout pretty fast. I've noticed, and at least in my property, it's very prolific, like rabbits. Great. That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Jackson. Next up, we have Citizens for Community Sisters Country Vision Implementation Team and the Hub updates with Kellen Klein from Citizens for Community.
Wow, that's really weird seeing the back of my head this time.
Yeah.
Hi. It still has hair though, so sorry.
Man,
Woo! Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Knock on wood here.
Is that how we build community? I don't know.
I'll show myself out now. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm handing around another deliverable that, in retrospect, I should have included in your packet, but wanted you to have a paper copy as we're going through this today. This is the latest progress report for the Sisters Country Vision. I'm going to move that a little closer and get my screen share ready here. Just one moment, please.
In the course of human events.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what I'm supposed to be presenting on?
Yeah, wrong. Yeah.
wrong event today.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me, and good to see some of you all for the third time today. For the record, I'm Kellen Klein, Executive Director of Citizens for Community, and yeah, I'm here to give you an update on all things C4C and some of the other work that we do with an emphasis on impacts, partnerships, and opportunities, especially those that we conduct in partnership with the City of Sisters. I want to start, though, if I can progress my slides, there we go, with a little bit of an overview of C4C. I know that many of you are intimately familiar with our organization, but I consider y'all ambassadors for our work as well, and vice versa. And so I thought giving a brief overview in terms of our mission, vision, some of our key programming might be just a helpful reminder of the breadth of the work that we try to do in our community. So we are a nonpartisan nonprofit. Our mission is to foster a connected community in Sisters Country by encouraging civility, collaboration, and civic engagement. We were founded in 2016. This is our 10-year anniversary, and I hope to see you all at our 10-year anniversary party on July 24th in First Street Park. And our focus is on building a more vibrant and resilient rural community where everyone thrives and feels that they belong. And to do so, we design and produce local events, programs, and now spaces that bring folks together, that help to build trust, enable cooperation, cultivate community pride, and help everyone take part in civic life. I often describe us as matchmakers, as trusted brokers, as connective tissue that helps bind our community together. This is kind of a high-level, very, very complex graphic of our organizational theory of change. But if our end goal is a thriving, resilient community, I like to say that that's a three-legged stool. And those three legs of the stool are civility, collaboration, and civic engagement. Those are three things that we think are pretty integral to creating a more thriving and resilient community. But they all have to sit on this foundation of social connection, because people aren't going to be incentivized to be civil with one another, to roll up their sleeves and work together to solve hard problems, to take part in civic life if they aren't inherently in relationship with one another. And for that reason, we start with social connection, building that neighborly sense of trust, so that I see you as that Jennifer who lives down the street, as opposed to, maybe someone with a political sign in their front yard that I disagree with, or just someone that I, give an awkward smile to and move on. We really want to foster those interpersonal connections across all walks of life in our community. And when we do that, all this other work becomes so much easier, because people feel inspired to work with one another. They see the impact that it can have, and they feel motivated to go do things for their community because they know of the people that it's going to be benefiting, and so on and so forth. So how do we get there? I mentioned events, programs, and spaces. On the event side of things, we have a couple different event series that we host. Our community forums are held twice a year. This is kind of one of our calling cards. They are focused on hot topics facing the town. We try to use them as a starting point, not an ending point, for fostering civil discourse about these challenges and hopefully catalyzing new initiatives that inspire people to roll up their sleeves and work together. So we focused on youth well-being, on wildfire in Sisters Country last year, on serving our seniors this spring. We've done ones on houselessness, on emergency preparedness, on housing affordability. And they have encouragingly led to some new work in this community. There's ongoing efforts around supporting our seniors that have spun out of that one that we did this spring. As you well know, a lot that we learned that helped us take a bigger role in the flat fire last year, et cetera. We also do a lot of professional development workshops that are really focused on helping our entire nonprofit and civil society ecosystem do their work more effectively. And so this is, how can we be a rising tide that lifts all boats by providing other organizations with the professional skills and education they need to do their work better. But those are also open to the community, as are all of our events, free and open to the community. Our Let's Get Together series is really the base of that foundation that I was mentioning. This is focused on social connection, low or no agenda, but choose a verb and we'll probably organize an event around it. So let's talk, dance, sing, craft, play, learn, what have you. We want to try and come up with different clever kinds of events that bring diverse cross sections of the community into a relationship with one another. And then more recently, fostering some new community traditions that can be things that both bring people together and cultivate civic pride and become maybe a cornerstone of what makes our town so special. So things like the Sisters Fourth Fest, maybe the Sisters Community Cleanup, that was really successful this year, and I think there's a lot of momentum towards making that an annual tradition as well, so things like that. On the programmatic side of things, we try to organize some programs across those different core pillars that I mentioned. Probably most notably and successfully is the Sisters Civic Leadership Academy, which we've done in partnership with the city and which I think is a pretty incredible success. I'll beat myself to the punch on a stat that I was going to share later, but as I think you all know now, 7 out of the first 22 members of or graduates of the academy in our first 2 years, 17 have taken on some new local leadership position. And of course, we can't take credit for all of that. Some of them inevitably would have happened regardless, but we like to think that that has been greasing the wheels to people who are looking to take that next step into civic engagement and didn't necessarily know where to start. The Sisters High School Banner Project is something that we started during COVID, and then it was taken over by the city, and we've sort of now partnered with the city and with the student government to sustain that because it was such a feel-good endeavor, but that's hanging banners with our graduating seniors from downtown lampposts. And that's just one of those feel-good civic pride type of things, but also something that I've heard from tourists. They're like, oh, we come through town and we see that, and wow, isn't that special that this town is so proud of their graduating youth that they put it up on the downtown streets.
The only problem is the town can't grow, the school can't grow anymore because we run out of places.
Actually, I think we have, I've done the counts, and especially with the Adams Avenue work, I think we're going to have like 100, I think we can almost double the size of the high school and still be okay. So don't hold me to that, but I think we're doing okay for at least a few more years.
You can pay me later for saying that.
Oh yeah, thanks for teeing me up for that one, Gary. Our Momentum grants are designed to catalyze grassroots community initiatives and bring new people into the fold of civic life. This year we gave out $15,000 to local stuff, much like the city's community grants. We love being able to beat y'all to it every year in the spring before you release it, or release yours in the summer. But no, those are very complementary initiatives, and it's cool to see all the new projects that have come to life through our respective grant programs. And then Land of 1,000 Picnics, that's giving people $150 stipends to host neighborhood gatherings, potlucks, picnics, low barrier opportunities to help with foster social connection in our town. And then this is kind of our grab bag, which I like to call network weaving. It's how do we continue fostering that connective tissue that brings people together. It's things like hosting community builder meetings that are really focused on networking between local leaders, nonprofits, elected officials, business leaders, etc. Ask for what you need, offer what you have. Developing local resources and databases. I got tired of people coming to me and saying, hey, where can I host an event in a town? Or what nonprofits are there that I can serve for? And so we just started building these databases. Oh, you want to find your people in Sisters Country? Here's a list of all the nonprofits and clubs and social groups. There's a group for you. You need to host a meeting? All right, here's a database of all the meeting spaces in town. You need, more resources for at-risk people, social services. Here's our Sisters Country resource guide. That, sort of inherent knowledge of being in relationship with so many organizations has enabled us to be an information clearinghouse, for instance, during times of crisis, such as during the flat fire when Mayor Letts called me up and said, Kellen, you have the Rolodex. Can you help rally the troops to figure out what's going on the ground and what people need and what they have to offer? And that was kind of an aha moment for us, and realizing during these times of challenge or at other times when we hear that there's an important topic in town, we can be that convener, and we don't have to do it all in-house, but we can bring the right people into the room together to tackle things. And part of that also is through the Sisters Country Vision implementation team, which we've been fortunate to facilitate for the last few years. That's another multi-stakeholder collaborative that's really focused on how can we be greater than the sum of our parts by bringing people together to work on these challenges that were first identified in 2018, but are important for at least the next 20 years. And how can we really get the right folks in the room to take action on that? And we've already seen that kind of fruition as well. Last but not least, we now have a physical hub for community building thanks to an awesome partnership with the City of Sisters. We launched the hub in the former chamber / library / makerspace next to First Street Park almost a year ago now. And from my view, it has been a rousing success. You know, we are able to make this work only because of a strong partnership with the City of Sisters. Not only do you own the building, but you give us a very affordable rent, and because of that, we are able to steward it as an accessible community space. So what does that look like? Well, 9 to 4, Monday through Friday, we offer pay what you can co-working. So no memberships, no subscriptions, just drop in whenever you want. If you can pay, great. If you can't, no problem. We want to make it accessible. We offer bookable meeting spaces for groups who want to come in. We offer sliding scale event rentals. Again, kind of a pay what you can model with suggested rates. Thanks to a grant from the City of Sisters this past year, one of your community grants, we've now accumulated enough to begin offering a nonprofit lending library so that not all the nonprofits in town need to have their own PA system and speakers and projector and screen and podium and traffic cones and lawn games and what have you. We can all be sharing those resources and being more efficient with our funding. And we offer a rotating artist in residence program with a focus on up and coming artists. I encourage you to go over there on Quilt Show Day. We have the Quilt Show's featured gallery artist, Cindy O'Neill, with about 25 quilts hung in the hub right now. And we've seen dozens and dozens of groups come through and use this space on a monthly basis. We have several local nonprofits who are using it for board meetings, for co-working, for mingling sessions. We have the Sisters Farmers Market in there every Sunday during the summer. Explore Sisters has their office in there. And we've also had groups from out of town that have come in and wanted to use it to have an opportunity to more efficiently connect with our local nonprofit ecosystem, with the general public. Central Oregon Community College had a Lunch and Learn series in there this spring. They're planning another in the fall. Oregon Community Foundation hosted one of their Central Oregon Regional Board meetings in there. The Oregon Cultural Trust held a conversation with funders for the entire Central Oregon region in there. And I've been talking with our COCC's Small Business Development Center about hosting several entrepreneurial workshop sessions in there this fall and going into next winter. So a lot of groups have been coming through it, on average about 20 to 25 different outside organizations each month who are meeting and gathering in the space. Co-working has been a little bit quiet this spring, but is interestingly starting to pick up this summer. I think both because people are now stuck at home with their kids and need to get out of the house, but also interestingly from tourists who are just searching for co-working in Sisters and finding it. We had a woman who came in who was working at camping at Subtle Lake and needed a place to work and came in. And so it's been an opportunity to connect tourists with our local residents as well. Through all this, what I found pretty remarkable as I was going through this list is how many of our programs either are a formal partnership with the City of Sisters or at least are regularly interfacing with the city itself. Formal partnerships include the Hub, the Civic Leadership Academy, which is now award-winning. Thanks for going and picking that up for us. And the Sisters Country Vision implementation team, where the city contracts us to help facilitate that, as well as a lot of more informal or ad hoc collaborations, such as around our community's response to the flat fire, the Banner Project, which requires coordination with your public works team to ensure that those get hung up and taken down properly, various event planning and coordination. I know Jackson and his team are probably tired of hearing from me all the time. I'm like, hey, how about this event? Hey, how about this event? And all that, but it's been a really effective, really fantastic communication with them and very open and transparent. And then general community and education and engagement around, for instance, topics like the Civic Leadership Academy and other things that we hear bubbling up for you. We want to be another voice that can elevate factual and informative information about the challenges that are facing our town and vice versa. We can share with one another, hey, what's the word on the street, Kellen, and what should the City of Sisters or the city councilors be paying attention to that might be coming around the pike, and vice versa. You're able to give us a warning about ways that we can maybe intervene or engage with the community to ensure that we maintain a positive tenor about whatever the challenges are that we might be confronting. And what is the impact that we've had together? Well, as I mentioned, 20 plus community events at the hub each month, and that seems to be steadily increasing. As you'll read in this report, we are making steady progress against the Sisters Country Vision's goals that were first outlined in 2018. Every year as we convene that group, or every 2 months we convene, and it's pretty remarkable that, you know, sometimes just getting the right people in the room together can really be all that's necessary to maintain momentum on something. And so, you know, when you stand back and you look at, you know, the City of Sisters, sometimes it's hard to appreciate the progress that's being made and in our, you know, our broader region. But when you start reading through this report, you'll be like, wow, some of these things that were first laid out in 2018, we're actually getting, you know, some really big wins on, like business expansion, promoting year-round tourism with Explore Sisters is now having some great stuff done. A lot of public infrastructure that I know has been a long time in the works, like the mobility hub, some affordable housing initiatives, expanding our trail system, etc. The strong response to the flat fire, you know, that might have come at us quickly and unexpectedly and been more of an ad hoc collaboration, but I think it's been really inspiring for me to think more about the ways that C4C can partner with the city to ensure a community-wide, you know, effort in terms of getting prepared with things like defensible space, but also when we think about response and recovery, and what are the assets that all of our various entities in town have to ensure a coordinated response to any crises we might have in the future. And then I already highlighted the Civic Leadership Academy, which we've already, Carrie and I have already agreed to, you know, and with others and with your support, we'll continue again next year. And I'm excited to be collaborating with Carrie and others to make that happen again, because we still have plenty of folks in the hopper who are eager to go through that program. I mentioned new annual traditions, like the Sisters Community Cleanup that we did this year. Shout out to Mayor Letts for some active, or for encouraging that. And I think it really led to something that was just one of those things that both has an impact and is a real feel-good thing for our community. I mentioned the lending library, Civic Pride. It was great seeing a bunch of you out there at Sisters Fourth Fest. That was a really good time. Was not expecting to have a 6-foot unicycler there, but that was definitely a highlight. And this last one, which, you know, is not in C4C's remit, but has been a pleasant surprise, and that's, you know, with our powers combined, really putting Sisters on the map through things like getting awards for the Sisters Civic Leadership Academy, or getting recognition in OPB and other publications around our community's response to the flat fire and how it was a really community-wide event. Mayor Letts and I going up and presenting to folks in Victoria, BC around those partnerships and what worked well following the flat fire. I think I've also been a part of some networks that are sort of focused on civic hub building across the nation. And I've had people who have been like, wow, all that's going on in Sisters, like that is so cool. How can we take some of what Sisters is doing and replicate it in our community? And so, and the hub is one of the most important examples. It's like, wow, your city agreed to that and is supporting that type of a physical hub initiative in your community. That's something pretty cool that we would love to replicate. So in conclusion, I just want to thank you all for your continued support. I really do believe that with our powers combined, we are greater, and we can do things together that we can't do alone. You know, city government is designed for different things than a nonprofit, you know, community building organization like ours is, but we have very complementary skills and resources and assets that are powerful when put together. I think that I'd really like to applaud the city for being innovative and open-minded. You've said yes to more than I maybe would have expected when I started in this job. And, you know, one thing that Sarah will probably remember that another board member at C4C says is, hey, test and learn. And I applaud the city for testing and learning, because not everything's going to work, but we're throwing a lot of spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, and it's pretty cool. I love that we have strong, trusting, and transparent relationships with one another, and I hope that continues. And I just want to emphasize that we are making a positive impact on this community. So, as Mayor Prieden likes to say, we punch above our weight. So, yep.
Wow.
This is just a little teaser of where I think, you know, C4C is heading next. I'm happy to elaborate on more of these, but you know, there's more goodness to come, onwards and upwards, and I see all of these things as being an opportunity for us to continue our partnerships together. So I'll leave that up on the screen while I open it up for questions. Thank you so much, and I hope I didn't go too far over time there.
I'm just going to say this is a lot of reflection of yourself, too. I still remember, and I've told this story many times, even here in this room, but when you're, you know, in the middle of COVID, you're up there, you know, zooming in from Portland saying, hey, we don't have enough childcare. It's like, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
And you changed that yourself. you weren't the only one, but we all did it, and you were a big driver of that. So, and I want to correct you on one thing that you said. And it's so minor, but it's really important. You said if you get the right people in the room. No, you just got to get people in the room. They don't have to be the right people. They might become the right people, but and I'm a big believer in that. I'm a big collaborator, and I appreciate what you're doing. And you're right. If you just get people in the room, magic happens. And I really appreciate everything that you do. And,
Sometimes it just takes free ice cream, right? So
or just the promise of ice cream.
Yeah.
You don't even have to eat it. I didn't.
Yeah,
But
there you go.
anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
You hired a part-time assistant, so there's 1.5 employees now.
Technically, so Madeline Matolius is a contractor for us right now. So our contracted community manager, not an employee technically. But yeah, she's helping manage our events and coordination at the hub and helping make our systems there a more well-oiled machine. And so we got some funding from Mabel Clark McDonald Fund to sustain that position for at least about a 6-month time span, and then we're reevaluating. But we also are feeling fairly confident that we're going to get some funding from Murdoch Charitable Trust this fall, which would enable us to hire a full-time program manager, and that would be a 3-year funding cycle. And so that would, knock on wood, take us to a 2-person organization beginning sometime later this year or early next, which, opens up doors in terms of, where else can we expand. And I think one of the things I've been looking at is how can we go deeper into some of these issues that we see continuing to bubble to the fore, fire safety or, fire emergency preparedness and resilience, leaning further into just general civic health, not just setting people up for success with the Civic Leadership Academy, but how can we, even create lower barriers for people that are looking to learn more about how does government work, but also, then you want to take that next step. How can we sink our claws into you and pull you more into civic life a little bit more? Things like that.
So it was about 3 years ago that you came on board, and it's been amazing work. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Sarah. Well, thanks for being a great mentor along the way too. And we learned a lot together, didn't we? So
I was trying to describe your role to someone outside of Sisters. And the first thing that came to my head, well, he's the Sisters MC. He's our MC.
Ooh, I like that a lot.
But there's so much more behind
We're not
that.
buying you a yellow coat.
Like the Savannah Bananas guy with the top hat? Yeah. Oh, darn. All right. Next year.
But everyone knows you as that thread throughout the community. And I applaud you on that. I applaud you on all the work for C4C. And I can't imagine if you add another person to your staff, how much more we're going to get out of this. So I just congratulate you and thank you for all the hard work.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I also want to emphasize that it's, I might be the only, full-time employee of C4C, but it really is a organization-wide effort and a community-wide effort. We have a board of 5 people right now that are right there with me helping to, refine our strategy, to get engaged, to, to pick up the chairs, to shake the hands and kiss the babies, all that stuff. And so I feel very supported by them. And by, I mentioned partnerships in here. It's, we almost every single event that we host and every program we do is a partnership with at least one other organization. And that's really the only way that we can be successful because, when you only have one person, you're very limited if you don't have that type of stuff. So I feel very lucky that to be able to be that, that MC, but that doesn't mean that I necessarily have to be doing everything all the time. And I'm also mindful of, I don't, succession planning and things like that too is if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, we want to make sure that the spirit of C4C and all that goes with it continues to be sustained for this community. So.
No pressure, but we're counting on you.
To not be hit by a bus? Okay, I'll look both ways or 3 ways.
It's why we have limited bus service.
Yeah, that just...
Stay away from Gateway Park.
I'll just jump on and say, thank you. 3 years, 10 years with C4C now in this community is pretty astounding. And what a unique organization, and how helpful it is for the city to have a community builders organization within, a community of 4,000 people, right? And then the broader, Sisters area. But very unique, but very helpful. And all the little things that you guys pick up are so helpful for us, right? Those community conversations about, houselessness that you participate in, the, affordable housing, the wildfire preparedness, that takes some of the pressure off of us of having to do these outreach events and everything in the public education and the engagement that happens. So I just hope we continue to build that. I think we will. As long as you're sitting there and I'm sitting here, I'm sure we will. And, I think we can come up and brainstorm a lot of different ideas. We've talked about City 101s and, kind of building upon the Civic Leadership Academy sort of ideas, right? So, thank you, and keep up the good work.
And I just want to add one more thing to what you just said, basically, and that is that you take on a lot of the roles that we see need to be done, but because you're not the, quote, governing body or whatever it is, I think people view you with a lot more trust than they might view us if we were doing some of the same things. And not that we're not, well, maybe we, I don't know. But, don't go there. But I think that, I've served on other boards, I've been in other elected positions, and when you have someone who can step out and do a lot of these things that benefit the city that we would like to see done, but we either don't have the bandwidth to do, or it's seen as being somewhat of a political event as opposed to a community event.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the real thing that you bring to the table that I appreciate very much.
I agree. I think, and that's, like you mentioned, Jordan, it's a unique type of organizational model, but I think it's kind of like this symbiotic cover that we can provide to one another. And I don't mean that in like a nefarious or underhanded way or anything, but we can host conversations in a way that takes some of that polarization and distrust out of the room that might be there if the city were leading that conversation instead of us, and vice versa. We can help elevate things and be boots on the ground and hearing things from the community that bring them to your attention in a way that might help diffuse some of those things that might otherwise come to y'all. So it's been very complimentary in that respect.
I do think I was not chosen fairly for the pie eating contest.
I
think you might have.
Maybe you should ask your wife who submitted you for that, because she said, "Don't tell Jordan that I entered him here." And then I swear to God, well, I pulled her in as a I was like, "You're my celebrity guest," but you were completely luck of the draw. So I appreciate you being a good sport with it, though. One thing I will highlight. One thing I'll highlight from this, we feel a responsibility to steward the hub. I think it's been really successful, and we have full intentions of sticking in there as long as you'll have us. I think there's more potential for that space that we're still learning as we go along. We're learning about some potential needs within that space, recognizing it is a city building. That would be a collaborative conversation if we're talking about things like whether it's structural improvements or interior renovations, or some of the things that Jackson and I have been talking about recently with his team is like remembering that that's also a city space, and so how can we work together to make that a Firewise landscaping thing as well. And speaking of partnerships, we've been in conversation with Sisters Trails Alliance about who has volunteer armies that are really good at backbreaking labor to see if we can tag team accelerating some of the landscaping over there on recognizing limited city budgets, but also wanting to lead by example with things like that. And then in the future, maybe, there's opportunities for some internal improvements. My pipe dream is something like a conference room, a private conference room in there or something like that. But we feel a responsibility to also go out and hunt for funding to, in recognition of how much the city already subsidizes our rent for that space. But I think that the more that we see that building being put to good public use, the more that we're eager to have conversations about like, okay, what else is possible now that we have this space? Because so far it's been a really big success and a really exciting addition to our suite of programming.
Thank
Cool.
you. Great presentation, and sitting on the VIT, with Carrie, and there's those moments every year, right, where it's like, oh, well, year in review, and what did we do? And you have that moment, what did we do? And then once the conversation starts in the room, you're like, wow.
Yeah, that was a lot. Dang.
That was a lot, with your organization, the city, and all of our partner organizations, and thank you for running that process as well.
Yeah.
Really well and keeping us on task. So.
Can I make two final remarks.
Yeah.
One, just an open invite that you're always welcome at our monthly community builders meetings. They're a really efficient way to get all the hot goss on what's going on in our local civil society ecosystem. We have, on average, about 30 local organizational leaders, business representatives, other government officials there sharing organizational updates, networking with one another, sharing what they need or have to offer. So it's always, or typically on the third Wednesday from 10 to 11:30.
I'll check one of those out.
Say again?
I said I'll have to check one of
Yeah,
those
you will. Yeah, I highly recommend. I've been waiting, Sarah. So that's an open invite, but it's a great way to get the word on the street about what's going on in our community. And then last thing would just be to applaud the stellar team that y'all have assembled in this city as well. It's a pleasure working with the whole team. I mean, Carrie and I have worked hand in hand on the vision and the Civic Leadership Academy, Jackson on all the things around the hub and all of our community events and other things. And I'm just like texting like, hey, fix this thing. Hey, this thing. It's been great to work together. You know, Scott, I pick up the phone and call about random code things all the time, either because someone asked me or just because I'm curious. But to have such a friendly and efficient and accessible staff has been really special as well. So shout out to all y'all and your whole team.
Oh, thank you. That's great feedback.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Well, thank you for taking the time
My pleasure.
today, and thanks for all you do and your board and your staff and your volunteers, and yeah, just looking forward to continuing our partnership.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, forgive me for not sticking around for the rest of things tonight, but I'm going to go feed my kids. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Get it.
But I'm sure it's going to be riveting. So
Yeah.
Godspeed. Thanks a lot,
All right.
y'all.
Thank you. And we will convene this workshop, and we can start at 6:30, I think. Okay, 6:35, 6:40? All right, 6:35, we will start the regular meeting of City Council.
Correcting the mayor. Just give you a hard
Recording
time.
in progress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear.
All right, we'll get started here in 1 minute or 30 seconds, or stand back up again. So there you go. All right, I'd like to call to order. Sorry, are we recording? Okay, I'd like to call to order the July 8th, 2026 Sisters City Council regular meeting. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Gave me a thrill.
Yeah, all of us. A roll call, please.
Mayor Letts,
Here.
Council President McDougall,
Here.
Councilor Predin,
Punching above my weight.
Councilor Ross,
Punching below my weight.
Yeah.
Councilor Pellerin.
Just here.
All right, do I have an approval of the agenda or any other options?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
I think Councilor Pellerin.
That's the consent agenda.
Well, we actually, we
You want
talked
to change
through it,
it?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would just like to pull the approval of city manager contract amendment that's under the consent agenda out for discussion.
During council business, yes. So I just need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All right, I guess I did that. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, do we have any visitor communication?
Michael,
You have to turn that microphone on, Michael. Thank you.
After you all survived the weekend with bombs bursting safely in air, I heard the commanding chief, or commanding king, same difference, is again bombing Iran and calling them scum. a word used far out of proper context. So I think you should all write him saying something like this. I personally dislike the word dude, only it's used here for some honest, good old Americana flavoring. Dear Commander, you should know, dude, what you call those people who have a real culture implanted into their Middle Eastern landscape for like a real long time. Well, when you call them scum, they look right through you. And not just you, dude, the whole country. Dude, and long before you got into politics, they know you only exist from what's come before and from everything that's around you. And I don't know what the Arab word or phrase for projection is, but that's what they see is going on. And one other thing, one of the problems with you, I can't come visit with a case of beer because you have never drank. So you will just have to take this on paper as an honest and wise message. You are sounding like the world's biggest fool. Plus, those people truly need to be recognized for who they are. People with their own very, very old ways, called real culture, completely unlike us, and immediately deserve complete change from us on how we see, feel, think, and treat them. Because how we behave, dude, is really, really sick. I just figured it's still American-like to throw in an opinion, even if it might scratch your bubble. Sincerely, from the one you should have had a night of drinking with long ago, and then just maybe the world could have started fully anew. Yep, I once had a girlfriend who believed in big miracles. Maybe I picked up a little of that after all. P.S. And another habit I sometimes have. When I think politics, I get a bit desperate in speaking the truth. Also, I might start thinking about sedatives for help. In my case, you now know what that is. So please, if you do become fully king, please don't bring back prohibition. Besides, that just might really piss off one of the Secret Service agents. And you don't want that. I sure wouldn't if I was king.
Thank you, Michael. Any other visitor communication?
If anyone on Zoom would like to participate in visitor communication, please raise your hand now. There are none.
All right, thank you. All right, do I have an approval? I'm sorry, do you have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and that just included the minutes from June 17th special workshop, June 24th workshop, June 24th regular meeting, and an approval of well 3 on-site OSEC upgrades. All right, moving on to council business. The agenda item that was pulled from the consent agenda, item B, approval of city manager contract amendments, will come up first on our agenda. And I think Councilor Pellerin just had some questions or clarifying comments or something about that.
Okay, thank you. So I asked to pull this out only because, well, two things. One, I felt that we were a bit rushed in getting an opportunity to review our options in terms of what we wanted to do to amend the city manager's contract, and then also to read the final version of it that just came out this afternoon. So I wanted to give us opportunity to discuss it a little bit if anybody felt they did. I do have one thing. In the correspondence that we were reviewing individually to consider regarding the severance schedule, that would be an additional month of severance every year going forward based on the city manager having a satisfactory performance review or higher. That last criteria is not in this amended agreement regarding the performance rating. So I just wanted to make sure that my fellow councilors were aware of that and have any discussion if we felt we needed to.
Or Miss Jordan.
Well, one suggestion, I'm fine if council wants to pull the item from the agenda and we can continue to negotiate and bring back in August. I mean, for me, there's not in terms of a time rush or anything on this. I'm completely okay to continue to have conversations and, it can come back in August 12th.
Sure, we can continue the conversation, or, we can.
I guess I would ask,
Hunt.
Councilor Pelton, is that your only concern? Sounds like you may have more than one.
I felt that the deferred compensation verbiage was a bit confusing to me, having two options there. I didn't understand that, and that it was up to the employer to decide which option. I did converse with Joe on that a little bit more. I would like to have had it worded maybe a little differently.
It was a little confusing to me too. That wasn't what we were kind of talking about before, but these things do sometimes kind of have to fall into the realm of how the work occurs within the HR division. But I'm comfortable if you are with taking a little bit more of a look at it from the perspective of the severance increasing in a month per year up to a maximum of 12. I think I've seen that pretty standard in other contracts that I've worked with where you have an at-will employee, the only employee that this board has, and when you can have a change in a city council, as we will probably have next year, you can sometimes have people who have a different philosophy, and that can put the city manager in a precarious position. And I think that my goal of including the language as it exists, even though maybe it could be worded better, I'm not disagreeing with that, is that I think it is important to provide a longevity incentive to the city manager, whether it's Jordan or someone else that's doing a good job, so that we can count on that continuance as well. So that to me was probably more critical than the deferred comp, although might not be for you, but the deferred comp, because I think it affords an at-will employee a certain amount of security that if you have a drastic change in the makeup of the board that supervises that individual, and they've done nothing. If it's not, this is not for cause. This is just because they don't like the guy. That there is a financial penalty to the board to make that decision.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Joe, is there any downside of getting the language exactly how we want it and waiting until August 12th? Doesn't affect anything? Okay.
Because the idea was this would be retroactive to July 1st.
Yeah, in the proposed language that you have, the cost of living adjustment will be included in his salary regardless. So that's already going to be incorporated in this pay period. And the others are, more or less, timing issues. I guess if he wants to defer as much as he wants to his deferred compensation plan, that's up to him. And we can match that easily. So
Personally, I think it's prudent of us to see the final language and have it worded how we all want. And I'm okay with waiting if it doesn't really affect anything.
And there's some reference to other sections of the contract in this amendment that we received. If we could get the full contract so we can reference that during this time that we're going to allow ourselves to have a little more review, I would appreciate that.
Okay. We need to do a motion, or what's the? I think we just.
Head nod.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's already been pulled from the consent agenda, so you don't have to take action.
Okay. Great.
Okay. All right.
Great. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah. Good.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is a discussion and consideration of Resolution 2026-14, a resolution of the City of Sisters supporting an application for a grant from the Department of Land Conservation and Development for urban growth boundary expansion planning. And Scott Woodford from the Community Development Department will explain this to us. Thank you for coming, Scott.
Well, thank you. So yeah, this is a request for support from the council for a grant application that's already been submitted to the state for urban growth boundary expansion planning. It's a new grant that came up recently, and it seemed to fit our situation perfectly. So even though the eligibility requirements are that you have a urban growth boundary adopted to be able to be eligible, we inquired, and they felt that since we're pretty close, fingers crossed, that we should apply anyway. So the money would be used for infrastructure planning. We already have a grant in hand for doing some of this work. It will be all kind of joined together with the area planning that we're going to be doing. So we already have a grant in hand to help hire some consultants, civil consultants, to help us do planning for infrastructure out there. Now that we know where the expansion is going to happen, more or less, it's not adopted yet, but we have a grant in hand to help us with that planning, and this would just further enhance our abilities to do more planning out there and use less city funds. One of the thoughts was, if we were successful with this grant, that we could use it to do some infrastructure financing analysis that would take a look at what the needs are out there and different ways that we could finance these improvements. So I think it would be a valuable tool to have. We could also utilize it if, depending on how much funding they give us, to do wetlands inventory on the property after we get adoption, or trails planning, things of that nature. There's no shortage of things that we could use it for to help out with, but felt that the infrastructure financing piece was probably a big component and probably the most important one. So if we get your support, we'll be able to send this in to them tomorrow, and we'll know soon whether we are successful or not.
All right, anybody have any questions or comments?
I have one of each. First, thanks for always looking out for grants. Really appreciate that. And I know that this workload has just kind of continued to increase. And so having extra help seems like a really good move. And helping finance that is fantastic. My question is this resolution 2026-14? Is that correct? The motion has a different number. I just want to make sure we use the right one.
It's 2026-14.
14. Thank you. Thank you.
Good catch. You made this easy on us. Is there anything else we can do other than just to pass this thing?
That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, I understand that DLCD likes to have council backing in order to approve stuff like this, so it's kind of a necessary
step.
Yeah.
All right, I have a motion.
I move to approve Resolution 2026-14.
Second?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and no nays? It passes. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Let you know how it goes.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. Moving on.
10 a.m.
to-
tomorrow.
Yeah. Just text us in the middle of the night.
That's fast.
Yeah, don't do that. Discussion and consideration of a motion to approve on-call electrical services agreement with Smith Rock Electric. Jackson. Dumont.
Hello again.
Hello.
So our current, or sorry, I should say previous electrician, Smith Rock LLC, was serving with the city since 2021. That contract reached its end. So we put out another request for proposals. We received 3 proposals. The review committee scored the 3 proposals based on the point schedule outlined in that published RFP. Smith Rock Electric did come out as the highest ranking proposal of the 3. We are recommending an initial 2-year term with the option for 3 1-year extensions. Maintaining an on-call electrical service is critical to making sure our critical facilities are maintained and repaired quickly and safely. The contract will have a not to exceed of $75,000 per year. When those invoices that come in, they are assigned to the contract services line in the relevant department. So if repairs made on a water well, that would go to the water department.
All right, yes, go ahead.
Couple of questions. By having an on-call as opposed to picking the phone up, and do you get a quicker response, and they have a guaranteed response time for us? Didn't really see it in the contract, but I will admit I did not read it line for line as finely as I could have.
Part of the RFP was outlining emergency response.
Okay.
That was defined as threats to life and property.
Yep.
As well as non-emergency response times, and those were graded as part of the.
So that's a part of the contract. So it's in essence a preferential treatment in terms of response. It's one of the reasons you do that over, say, another client or something else that doesn't have that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. No other questions. That really was the piece I wasn't too clear on.
They did have the fastest emergency response time of the 3.
No further questions.
How often do you find that we're utilizing a service like this?
Consistently.
A couple times a month or?
On average.
Okay.
Especially with large projects going on where we need an electrician on site for that certified experience. A lot of it's random events that come up. Pedestal at the RV campground goes down. We need an electrician to fix that.
And they're certified to do multiple voltages?
They are fully certified.
Yeah, okay.
The financial impact of not exceeding 75,000, to kind of give us an idea if that's the right number. Do you know what was spent last year on on-call electrician?
I believe last year was about 26,000. We did up that a little bit just for these large capital projects that we have coming up. We're anticipating utilizing our on-call electrician more frequently.
Okay. So kind of triple that.
So it sounds like we're not at a place where we would want to have a full-time electrician on staff yet.
No, and
not that much workload.
We don't intend on spending $75,000 on electrical services. It's there in case we need it.
Okay. All right, any other questions, feedback? With that, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the on-call electrical services agreement with the Smith Rock Electric LLC and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And no nays, and it passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to other business. First up is appointment of Public Art Advisory Board members. And I get to announce the members who will be in our inaugural art committee. So this is very exciting. So I would like to congratulate the following people, and this will also explain their terms. And the terms are a little wonky sounding. It's a new committee, so we had to stagger the years, and also we're starting in the middle of a year, so all of these are kind of either 1.5 or 2.5 year appointments until they're kind of on our regular committee schedule. We like to bring on people all at the same time for all of our committees, so just wanted to articulate that. First, Esther Nooner, appointed until December 31st, 2028 for a 2.5 year term. Stephanie Siebold, appointed until December 31st, 2028 for a 2.5 year term. Paul Bennett, appointed until December 31st, 2027 for a 1.5 year term. Christine Funk, appointed until December 31st, 2027, 1.5 years. And Andrew Loomis, appointed until December 31st, 2027, 1.5 years. So congratulations to all of those people, and really welcome them to work with us, and excited to be working with them. Next up, on the same topic, is an appointment of Public Art Advisory Board Council Liaison. And most of our boards and committees, we like to have a counselor be a liaison on those committees as a non-voting member, just to have that conduit of information and conversations between the committee and council. And so is there anybody that would like to be that council liaison? Question, or you're?
I'm interested.
Oh, you're interested? Okay.
And I am interested as well.
Okay. So is it an arm wrestling match at this point, or how would you like to settle on? Anybody else interested? No, okay.
I mean, I'm comfortable with the other, but I only have one other committee assignment because when we set up this year, so I have a little bit of time to do it. It's something that I pushed hard for even before the infamous roundabout. And so I have an interest, but I'm also, am debating whether or not I will run for re-election, so that's something to be considered. Having said that, we do oftentimes change liaisons at the start of the year anyway, so I'm comfortable with it one way or the other. We both have an interest in the arts, and we both have an interest in this sort of a thing, and so I'm very comfortable with your doing it. And I can be your backup if you wish, and or the other way around, whichever you'd like.
And just to clarify, I remember this is the fourth Tuesday of each month at 3 p.m. So I'm sure.
What time? 3?
Was that?
Fourth Tuesday.
Fourth
at 3
Tuesday
p.m.
at 3 p.m. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm sure you saw that. So.
Okay.
Oh yeah, please. Councilor Pellerin, do you have any comments or?
Yeah, I know, Gary, you're on Parks and Parks. Excuse me.
Yep.
I always want to say Parks
The Park
and Rec,
Board,
but
yeah.
yes. And I'm on Forestry Board,
Yes.
but I'm also on COIC.
Yes.
And you're not on any, assigned on any other one?
No,
boards, right?
I was on Forestry Board before you were interested, so I said no. Yeah. So.
Okay. I have no preference either. I'm kind of in the same boat. I am running for re-election, but I don't know if it's going to happen. So
Neither do I.
either one of us could, we might have to find a new person, regardless of you or me being on it. So I'm fine if you'd like to do that. And maybe in January we can reconsider if there's still interest in.
I think everything's up in January.
Yeah.
January. I have a question, kind of procedural, for Carrie, who's sort of our person who overlooks this. We generally have one counselor there. With the kickoff of this one, I'm wondering if it makes sense to have both of us attend. Would that be confusing?
It might be confusing to the board, but they haven't met yet, so.
Because I think there's going to be an awful lot of setup and those sorts of things.
The first meeting will be very much just about how boards run and chairs and vice chairs and what the city looks like. So it will not be anything but procedural.
And the reason I asked that question is this will probably occur in late August, early September.
August 25th is the first meeting. August 25th is the first meeting.
And would it meet in December? Probably too close to Christmas.
That's on their first agenda about possibly moving in alignment with how the council has moved, both in November and December.
Oh.
Because they both.
So it might just be August, September, and October.
It's on the agenda for the first meeting for them to decide if they'd like to move it to align with the councils, which is the third week in both of those months.
Well, I'm definitely interested.
Yeah. I am too, but like I said, I'm a little more nebulous. I'm still, that fence is awful narrow, and one day I fall off one side of it, and the other day I fall off the other, so.
Don't talk about falling. We don't want to hear that.
Good point. So I have strong interest, but at the same point in time, it may make more sense if you're interested to have you do it, but I would like to sit in on that first meeting as well. I kind of want to get a sense of what people are thinking and where it's going and the direction we think we're heading with it. And we can even have a discussion if we need to, but.
And you could be the alternate?
Yeah. And that's how you are with the Urban Forestry Board. I'm the alternate on that. Okay? Should we do that? But I'd like to at least be because it's a new one and we really don't have any history with it, to both sit in the room. I just think it makes some sense.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. Is that a council decision we have to make? Because I'm fine with that.
It's a public meeting, so anybody can sit in the room. That's
true.
Not,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean that makes I don't have a problem with that, as long as that's clear to the members.
Just to be clear, not about assignments, but I believe that later this summer we're going to be ranking from council what the first topics will be that the board addresses.
Correct. I'll bring back to you, potentially might not be before their first meeting because we're not discussing that in the first meeting, but it might be topics for discussion as far as what you would like the board to work on in their first year, since there is a number of things that are out there. Get your priority.
It's not going to be a black hole.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring that back up so that that it's not that we're now out of the loop. It's just that someone will be the liaison, but we're going to have input into what the board discusses as at least for starters.
I want to be in charge of what color toenails are painted.
All right, so are we comfortable with, this is just a head nod, we don't have to vote on this, correct? Yeah. Are we comfortable with Cheryl being our liaison, and then you are the alternate?
Yep.
And Councilor Ross being the alternate?
I'm comfortable with that, and then I may fight you for it in January.
Okay.
I just wanted to add, Councilor Preeden and I were in the selection committee along with Jesse from Sisters Coffee. And I think we have a really good group here. We've got a variety of art, music, as well as, Paul Bennett is an established local artist as well. And and then Stephanie has the Clay Creative. So really a good group, and I'm looking forward to seeing them come together.
Mm-hmm.
All right, fantastic. All right, I think we've got that settled. Thank you for both stepping up. Really appreciate that. I think we're all very excited about this. All right, next up on the agenda is a response to prior meeting public comments. We don't really have
response.
any. No. Okay. All right, now on to staff comments.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. Staff comments tonight. Our community grants are open for applications until the end of the month, July 31st. Looking forward to receiving those and getting those in front of Council in August. The filing period for City Council, we have an election in November, so the deadline for incumbents is August 18th, and for new candidates is August 25th. This morning, the Partnership on Houselessness met, and Council President McDougall was there, and she might provide an update there. But I will say we'll be looking to add a presentation, I guess an action plan update from the partnership to the city council, potentially in the second meeting in September.
Stole my thunder.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
All right, I'll let you expand
Nope,
on that.
that was pretty much what I was going to say, so I'll be quiet later. Thank you.
It was another good meeting.
Yeah,
It's a
it was a very good
group.
meeting. I thought it was excellent. Thank you.
This last weekend was Sisters Fourth Fest, which went very well. I don't think we had any issues reported. I think ADA access might be something that we can think about with the new memorial sidewalk and pathway. But a great event, and we saw Kellen tonight, but thank you to the Rotary and C4C and all the folks that volunteered to put that together. And then, of course, our other major event season underway. We have the Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show on Hood Avenue this weekend. Still going to be hot, not as hot as last year, but make sure people watch for signs of heat exhaustion and stay cool as they enjoy our town for the quilt show. Our new Public Works utility technician, Cassie Siglo, started this week and has been shadowing staff. And we've seen her around different staff members here working around town. So if you get a chance, say hello. I think she was shadowing Robin earlier this week. So we're excited to have her on board and our crew up to full strength. If you've driven on the north side of town here, Adams is well underway under some heavy construction at this point. Paul is spending a lot of time managing this project right now. Couple updates, a lot of hand-holding with local businesses to make sure their needs are met and access is remaining open. They met with Sisters Folk Festival about their upcoming events and plans around their concerts on the end of the month in early August. They have a few concerts scheduled, but things are going to start moving pretty fast. You've seen some curbing being poured in. That's going to continue. They have the south side curbs going in, and then the north side will start later this month, and then we'll start to see paving happening in early August already. So once they got the underground utilities in and the earthwork, then they can start making the forms and doing the pouring. So yeah, things are going pretty smooth otherwise on that project. Urban growth boundary update. So we've been providing regular updates to council, kind of sharing what's going on at the county level with the county planning commission. The public hearing has been reopened. That hearing is tomorrow night. July 9th, Scott will be there. DLCD staff will be on hand, I think, to provide, right off the bat, some clarification on letters that they had sent to the county about wetland preservation, wildlife, and riparian habitats in our proposed expanded UGB. So that will be very helpful to have them attend and provide that information. As you know, part of our application and in studying the preferred alternatives, the city is committed to preserving those areas and conduct the studies that are necessary after the UGB is adopted, and that will all be in accordance with the state laws and the rules around that. At the same time, we're going to be submitting a land use application to the county as part of this process to amend the county code and comp plan to address some of the gaps that they identified in their code, which could potentially leave some properties that are in the county but not yet brought or annexed into the city that don't have wetland and floodplain protections. And so as part of that, submitting this application, we're also asking for them to continue the public hearing until the end of August 27th, so that the county can process that application and potentially do a concurrent hearing with the GB application to resolve those issues. So we have a plan in place that's going to be proposed tomorrow night, and hopefully we'll get the nod on that and submit our application. This is the time of year that short-term rental licenses are submitted for renewals. One stat that stood out to me, Scott, as Carol's processing these renewals, is that we have about 85 licenses that are in effect or up for renewal. And I think that's down about 20, 25 since we did our since last year. So we've seen them start to tailor off, and I think it's what we've talked about before as we kind of strengthen our requirements, and sort of the submittal requirements, the posting requirements, and notifications, things like that. I think folks that had them, that were just holding them without like utilizing them, and maybe it was a future opportunity or something like that, or just a blocking maneuver, I think were a few cases that we've seen those drop off. And maybe there's a handful that have been, a turnover that couldn't be transferred to the new owners too. So, kind of interesting. I think we anticipated that happening, but we're starting to see that data now in the numbers.
Jordan, do they all come up for renewal at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always around the new fiscal year. And last year was kind of a bigger push to make sure people are complying with the insurance requirements and notification requirements. And this year, hopefully, will go a little smoother now that folks remember last year's stronger requirements.
Are we distributing the information about evacuations this go around?
Yeah, I think we added that to the renewal packets, right?
Okay. Fantastic, thank you.
Yep, and then we provided to Scott Humpert information for hotels as well, right? For the visitors about accessing Deschutes alerts and things like that. Those publications.
Thank you.
And then a couple final things. This week you had the report from code enforcement, the second quarter report, and also I think the second iteration of the building activity report.
Thank you.
Which I think is pretty informative to kind of see what's going on out there in terms of, new permits and things that are going on. And then you're going to enjoy your recess. Council's going to be on recess for the summer here until August 12th. I think is the next meeting, if I'm not mistaken. So quite a bit of time. I hope you enjoy the summer break. Hopefully the weather stays okay and skies are clear. I think there will be a few staff vacations. I plan to be out of the office the last week in July on a camping trip. We'll have coverage here, of course, but we'll be otherwise working here at City Hall and open for business. Just no council meeting, the first meeting or the last meeting in July. So, oh yeah, and the new dog. Happy to entertain any questions and staff as well.
All right. Thank you very much for that. And then we can just go on to mayor and councilor business. Anybody want to get us started? Anybody have anything to share? Lots of meetings I'm sure you're attending.
Well, I think that, Fourth Fest was fun. I was planning to be there an hour, and I think I stayed. Well, I did stay to the bitter end. So
The very bitter end.
the very bitter end.
And how bitter were you?
I had to see what certain people look like with pie on their face. As I said to Jordan, and I've spoken to a couple of you, that being on this thing has kind of given me a new perspective of what kind of barriers some people face at some of our events, and trying to do some things that to address that are easy to overlook that I never would have thought about until all of a sudden I'm rolling around on a set of wheels that don't like to go over certain things. So I think that gave me a good perspective. You and I talked, you said that some of the advocates for ADA said everybody should spend a week in a wheelchair and roll around their town and find out where the problems are, all, able-bodied people, because you really don't understand it until you have to do it, and I frankly did not. So I have a certain respect for the people who do this daily, and also some things that I'd like to see us address as time goes on. Not necessarily tonight, but as time goes on, to try to make us, as we talk about citizens for community, we talk about things we want to do to make our community friendly for everybody. And while I grumbled about the curb cut replacements along Cascade, having gone over some we have in town that aren't to the same, with this thing that likes to roll backwards the minute you pick your foot up off the ground, I think I like those pretty much. So just some little things like that. Interesting discussions with the citizens. I'm sure Mike will have some things in there to talk about. And I think that it was very beneficial to be there. Had a lot of people come by and talk to us. A lot of people said nice things, which is always pleasant. A couple didn't, but that's all right. That's about it for me.
Okay, thank you. You want to go ahead?
I don't have anything really in addition to what Jordan said in the Fourth Fest, so I'm good.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
All right.
Maiden Sisters Tour is next week, Thursday the 16th, if I have the date right. Is that right? 16th?
Yep, I wrote that down. So
Yeah.
you said it. Great.
It's in the morning. It's like 9:30, I think. If you haven't considered attending, I'd encourage you to attend. It's pretty cool to walk around and learn a little bit more about what's going on out there, because there's a lot going on. We're going to tour Base X and Sisters Coffee and one other place. There's going to be 3 tour guides, Tim Kazar from Woodlands, and Spencer from the bakery, and myself. The 3 tour guides. We're all kind of tour guide-ish a little bit. We'll have groups of 15 to 20 people each and walk through the business park. It's going to be really, really fun. I like it.
Go to the EDCO website and.
EDCO website. I'll talk to Eric and just make sure another final email gets out or something, and just send it all to council for sure, so you guys all have the current information and hopefully the right times and dates as well, Gary.
And anybody in the public can go.
Anybody can go. There's a small fee, but it's $20.
Get lunch.
I don't know. You get lunch?
I think it's 40.
40? Yeah, I can't remember. So, but yeah, it's a good time. So that's coming up. Gary's right. We had some good conversations. One of the people that came up to the table was talking STRs, and they're a member of the Fourth Sisters condos.
Yeah.
I really think that we should look at that and see if there's not an easy way to maybe come together on that. If everybody agrees that that was kind of made for that STR situation, and if we can just look at that in a microcosm, maybe there's a quick way to go through that process over the next fiscal year. I don't know. And I would also encourage us probably to look at, owner occupied as well, and see if there's not a way to relax that a little bit for people who are holding on to STRs just for a room in the house. It's one, as Jordan was talking about, I was one that was using it as a blocking maneuver, and once it went from 250 to 500 feet, that made it easy because I got covered from 2 sides, and I decided not to hold on to it anymore. My blocking maneuver was 100% complete without me spending any more money, so that was actually a benefit to me personally, because there's nobody coming into my neighborhood with a new SDR, which I like. I think it's great we have 85. I think that's a fairly comfortable number. It's not 110. It's not going to get much larger. It's not going to be allowed in the UGB. I think it's a small cottage industry that's used very well, actually. We do need places to stay for families that aren't hotel rooms. I don't think banning them works very well. But having some is good, and having it not get any bigger is also good. So I think that we've done really well over the years on that, although it was a lot of work. And I know you guys did it, and I recused myself a lot from it, and I enjoyed not doing that work, to be honest with you. The Fourth Fest, Kellen, I've already talked about it a little bit. I think he's an amazing person. C4C has grown a lot. Thank you to Sarah for being on the board early on, and I think it's blossomed into something that I don't think anybody really expected, to be honest. I think its bandwidth has grown and grown, and I feel that them and some of these other community partners that we have, I just want to always remind us that when we have these great partnerships, that we keep putting the money where our mouth is, because we love it, but sometimes we talk about the money, and I'm not saying throw unlimited dollars at all these organizations, but the ones that are doing really good, I think we have to continue to fund them in a way that they remain successful, if not grow a little bit. So,
Can I add on something?
Sure, absolutely.
So I just wanted to take a moment, and I obviously think very highly of Kellen, but also want to just thank the Rotary, I mean, and Kiwanis, because they are huge forces of volunteers, and the Rotary is at least an equal partner on the Fourth Fest. So
sure.
Kellen is definitely a face for the event, and I love that, and I think they love that as well. But I just wanted to take time to acknowledge those two organizations because they're outstanding.
Kellen's the hair, the hair of the event. Bill Kelly, obviously, he's one of the people.
Yeah.
I know he's not the only one, but he's somebody I recognize a lot, and he's in a lot of my same circles, and I saw him working hard. So.
Yeah, I think he's the event owner within the Rotary.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
I already mentioned being on the selection committee for the Public Arts Advisory Board. I worked on my Councilor Corner article for the next newsletter.
Thank you for
it'll be around essential infrastructure and your tax dollars at work.
Ooh,
yeah, good stuff.
Yes. Nerd out on that.
And then, of course, read today with many of you the Declaration of Independence, which I thought was a great event. And was that something you had suggested, Mayor?
Yeah, when I attended the Mayor's March at the Rose Festival, Mayor Wilson in Portland challenged all of the mayors there and all the cities that were representative to do this. He had heard about this event because it started in Hawaii and wanted to do it in Portland and shared it with us. I wouldn't have heard about it otherwise. So, messaged Kellen and he said, sounds great, and took the ball and ran with it. So, yeah.
Thanks for doing that. I thought it was a really good community event, and actually was surprised when I pulled up and saw so many people there, and some were there for the splash pad, of course.
Yeah.
But there was quite a good crowd.
Yeah.
Felt very patriotic. And then just last item is I will be attending a C4C event called Listen Like You Mean It. It's a workshop on July 14th, Tuesday, 4:30 at the Hub, and you can sign on, register for that on C4C. I think as counselors, one of our major assets and skills is to be able to listen well. So I'm going to go attend to that and listen. That's all I have.
Thank you. Last weekend was last weekend was the big Pondaroo, and I think that I didn't attend, but I walked by a lot, and looked like everyone was having a good time despite the weather. It was a little chilly,
nice,
but
actually.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there was no wind inside.
Yeah. It was definitely nice to be in that park and be sheltered for sure, I imagine. So, thanks to Sisters Folk Fest for putting on that event. And Jordan and I went down to Lapine to speak to the board of the League of Oregon Cities. They were having a quarterly meeting in Lapine and wanted us to speak towards the work we've been doing around wildfire and sisters. So kind of just gave them a presentation on that. And not a lot of questions, but I think they enjoyed it.
I think we made a good sell.
Yeah, okay.
You too can
have
some space in your community.
Yeah, so that was enjoyable. Councilor Prieden and I attended a kind of a meeting with a few people in town looking to, in some way, expand our medical services available to people in Sisters Country. A lot of different people around the table. Commissioner Adair was there, C4C, EDCO.
Who gathered the meeting? Or what was the...
Who was it?
It was the potential developer actually put it all together and wanted the right people in the room.
Okay.
And Eric was there from EDCO as well. I don't know if you said that already, sorry. And there was about, 12 of us. And it was just kind of what are you looking for and how can we help and da-da-da. And I think there's going to be future conversations about it. And honestly, when you put Patty on something like that, there's going to be some noise made somewhere, and I think that future conversations are going to happen. It's just all cloud level right now.
Yeah, but I think they seemed very appreciative by the end. I think they were hearing a lot of really interesting feedback, and they seemed kind of excited about what they were hearing.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it helps kind of streamline what maybe they should be working on. And
Well, I think just having a room full of the right players, two mayors, city councilor, and all these other people, I think just having somebody listen to their ideas and try and help make it happen is something that works, especially here in Sisters. So the next conversation will be the more important one, though, to be honest with you. And I've been talking to the possible general contractor on that project, and they definitely want to have further conversations. It'll be interesting to see where those are and who's involved in the next round, because not everybody at that table is going to be in right at the beginning, but they may be needed at some point. So.
yeah, I mean, the owner is from out of the area, but the GC is local, and so I think they were really appreciative and impressed of having just candid conversation with a lot of community leaders around a table, where you don't get that in a lot of communities, and so I think I felt like they appreciated that.
Funding is an issue, right? And what we talked about a lot was, layering the funding, much like affordable housing is. Mm-hmm. I think to make something in the medical field happen in a town that's not normally considered the prime candidate for that, because we're too small or we're too affluent. I think that there's definitely reasons why maybe La Pine has one and we don't. But those are just hurdles, and we can jump hurdles with the right conversations. So.
Yeah, fire district was there as well.
Fire district, yeah. Jeff was
there. Are de facto urgent care at the moment, for better or for worse.
Can I just ask, was it specific to urgent care?
No, it was a bigger conversation, okay. But it was heavily in that kind of world, or I think those were the questions bandied about. Was are we talking about more hours, stuff on weekends, or is there what's the need, or what's the what's the financial opportunities?
I learned a lot because I know the differences of what ER needs, and urgent care is different, and labs, and these surrounding things such as pharmacies they all have to be pretty robust to support an actual other facility. So big conversations.
Yeah. Attended a Fourth Fest as well. I think we were all there in one capacity or another, and so I got to take half a pie home. then I had some pie that night. But that was a fantastic event. I talked to some representatives at Rotary, and with the breakfast, they had 500, almost 500 breakfasts served, and that wasn't even counting some freebies that they gave to some volunteers, things like that. So, and then hundreds more on top of that. Obviously, the fire district was a big partner in that. SPRD was there, Qantas was there. Just a great event, and very thankful yet again to all those partners.
Can I give you kudos, Mayor and City Manager Wheeler, for tackling that? I was asked to do that the first one, and I somehow avoided it.
Oh, you should have, because I heard the pies got bigger this year. So
yeah,
that thing had to been like 5 pounds. Like,
it was heavy. Yeah, it was not a pie.
Yeah,
I took your half a pie home, and it was heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to thank Councilor Preeton for getting my wife popcorn. You made her day.
Oh. I needed water myself. If I didn't say that, but it was hot.
Central Oregon Cities Organization held a special meeting last week around the
water mitigation program.
Water mitigation program, and having that extended.
Aquifer recharge.
Yeah, and artificial recharge conversation. We invited, state house members, local state house members, and a number of local people participate and had some Zoom in, or their colleagues, and so had a really great conversation around that. The messaging being, I think that they're warm to extending this, and that's what we're trying to get ahead of. Is that this is a 10-year, issue. We're kind of at year 7 right now, year 7 or 8. So we're trying to get ahead of it and making sure that gets extended so we can keep working on these issues. And they said, keep the ask very simple, and it could be something they could carry next year through the legislature, and so message received. Tribes were there as well, which was great to have them participate. One thing the tribes asked to hopefully change, which I thought was very interesting, was that in the current plan, White Shoes Creek is not included, as well as some parts of the Metolius, and so they wanted that considered as well, which I thought as people who live on the banks of White Shoes and how important it is to our community and how it's evolved greatly, probably since the beginning of this program, an interesting ask there. So that event went well.
So just
yeah.
a question on that. So basically, there's something that needs to be done by the legislature that COCO is asking it to do?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, just an extension of the program, because it's going to sunset.
Okay.
And we just don't want that to happen. It kind of opens up a can of worms, and also, we feel like, we're kind of, good work is happening on a lot of levels, and don't want to see that backslide.
Yeah, I was just trying to
Yeah.
understand, like, what the
ask was.
yeah, just the way down basics.
Yeah.
Yeah, COCO introduced the mitigation program, and it's the only one in the state that the legislature has approved that I know of.
And that's about it. Any go backs or anything else anybody wants to share? Except, have a safe and fun summer until we see you again in about 4 or 5 weeks. Meeting adjourned. Oh. I forgot to look. I should,